Hey, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well today. Let's see. So we are live, it says. So we've got Broke Cowgirl Homestead, Alicia with Farm Fresh. Hello, hello. Lori's World, Lisa Colovi. Hello. Spartman is over on the eastern snowy part of the state. I'm sorry, Spartman. They got the heavy, wet stuff. Lori's got some rain. Oh, that's good. You haven't had to water anything yet. Snowing on and off for the last 2 days here in South Dakota. Yep, exactly. Same here. We had some snow yesterday. Hey, Kelly Mickelson, Family Homestead. And by the way, Kelly, you should either have your stickers or they're on their way to you. Let's see here. I just want to go quick because I got a guest backstage. I did turn on subscriber mode. Hey, Alicia, Farm Fresh. Hey, Leanne, Mennonite Farmhouse. Thanks for coming in, you guys. Hey, Casey at Ormsby Farms. Boothang. Hey, Gwen, Broke Cowgirl. Let's see here. Oh, thank you, Annette at the Cow Emporium. Thank you. You're an awesome friend. Likewise, let me tell you. I'm just going through everybody saying, hey. So I turned on subscriber mode. I'm going to bring Rich up first, and then we'll talk about this. You ready, Rich? All right. Hey there.
Hey. How's everybody doing?
So everybody, welcome Rich from the Old Swedes Farm. And thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate it.
It's good to be here. Hopefully, I don't have an echo or anything, do I? I'm trying to also have it on YouTube and watch the comments because sometimes people comment to me and I can't see it on the other. Okay.
Yep. No echo, not at all. I find that if I mute it, I usually don't have an issue.
Yep. That's what I did.
Subscriber mode, Alicia, is where only subscribers can talk in the chat. That's it. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because sometimes you get bots that come in. It's not a fail-safe where it'll stop it all, but I just think that it can be beneficial for the folks in the chat. So in that way, it's just the people who because you guys come all the time like clockwork. So yeah. So I had a bunch of things, and Rich, if you don't mind me going through a few things here.
Run with it.
You're one of them. So couple things, guys, and just because I mention it, like I'm not begging you to do something. I'm just telling you about it. And if you choose to do it, fine. If you choose not to, you don't have to. I'm just spreading the word for some peeps, okay? So, for example, Halbert Farm, Josh and Rebecca, you guys have met both of them on our lives, and they had a calf that was born they're in Burleson, Texas, and they had a calf that was born on a cold, rainy day. Hey, the Inquisitive Farm Wife, welcome. And their calf, they went out to check on the calf, make sure it was okay, and the calf cannot stand. And so they found out quickly. They brought him in the house, got him warmed up, and they thought, oh, well, he's just got to get on his feet. He couldn't get on his feet. And it turns out there's something wrong with him where they have been nursing him in the house. He's a bottle baby, obviously, and he's doing really well with that. But here's the problem. They took him to the vet. And when he goes to stand up, his shoulders pop out. He can't stand up. Right now, they've got ace bandages, and they call them splints. So both of his front legs are splinted with a thing over his back. And he's able to get up and walk with that. But here's the problem. Because he's not able to walk like that, he's getting urine scalding pretty bad. So I'm just throwing it out there, and Gwen, I will mention that to them. They took thiamine and selenium. Here's the thing. They take their animals to the vet like nobody's business. And they took it to their vet and they're ready to go to Texas A&M with them, like they do with their pigs. But anyway, they know that he can't be bred, but he's doing so well otherwise, so they just want to see. But the bottom line is they're in need of large pee pads. So if you have pee pads in your house and you want to send them, reach out to me, reach out to them on social media. It's Halbert. I'm going to type it in the chat. And one of the things that I sent was Desitin, because I read that with urine scalding, just like babies, the zinc oxide ointment can help. And so the problem is he licks it off, and you don't want him to ingest all that. But I just throw it out there because they're really good people and they adore their animals and they take care of them, but they're also practical. They know when they can't. So this is like their last ditch effort to try and do what they can for him. And here's the thing. They'll either keep him there as a forever home and not breed him, or they will find him a forever home where he'll be a pet. That's the coolest part about it. So I just throw it out there. Also, the Cow Emporium, speaking of Annette, the Cow Emporium is an amazing channel, just like Holman's Homestead is. And so I'm going to give you a little sign language here. The Cow Emporium and Holman's Homestead would love for you to check out their videos, because they would love to have some people checking out their stuff. You feel what I'm throwing out there?
Annette's got a lot of good stuff. I've been watching quite a bit of it.
Same here. Same here. And here's the thing. And I know Annette has had to hear this for me. That one where they had the cow cesarean, that video had everything in it. Everything. And they portray things with such a love and concern for their animals in their care. Yeah. Glenn is a pro and he's skillful. And to me, that's one of the things that I always love, is that I learn so much from somebody who's loving and caring of their animals. And that's important to me. Yeah. So check them out. Let me see here. Then I've got Blue Self-Reliance, and Dale at 9 Acre Family Farm is doing a collab for Earth Day, and that is tomorrow. There's a whole bunch of us, including myself, posting videos for tomorrow. And I joined Collabs. I'm better at it now. I joined Collabs now that I believe in, but also because I feel they're a part of our journey and our channel. I know in the past I haven't been as good as that. So I really felt this was important, because it's all about, I talk about all about being a less waste homestead and some of the things that we do to reuse stuff. And I think that's important. The other thing is Blue's live today. I was a guest there today, and Blue is incredible. She was talking about urban homesteading, and she was hardcore about, you don't need to be getting this kind of animal if you're on an urban homestead. Like, I loved her for it. So if you're interested, check that out. Yep. And then Rich, why don't you talk a little bit about what you had going on with the milkweed for monarchs?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna. Let me mention one other thing there. Barb. Shoot, I'm not gonna. What's Barb's channel name?
Barb's Country Home.
Barb's Country Home. I know we all celebrate the milestones, hitting certain things, and she is, I think, 12 short of a milestone. So if you have not checked out Barb's channel, please do. Being 12 short, my God, what a great channel. She's just down home. She is. I'd love to have her as a neighbor. So
likewise. In fact, Lisa Colovi, could I ask you a favor? If when you get a chance, could you please put the link for Barb's Country Home in the chat? I've been posting her on my community tab, and it just seems so agonizingly slow.
Yep. She's getting so close. She's 12. I checked right before. She's 12 short, but she's doing good. The other thing that we've got going, it's a not a collab, but a project. It's milkweed for monarchs. And as we put out a video, it's the second closest video, the one I just put out today, and then one before that. Just if you could take a look at it, the monarch butterfly travels from Mexico up to Canada and back down, having generations along the way. And the milkweed's really been decimated over 30, 40 years. We're trying to work together, and we've literally got people in about 25 some states planting milkweed and adding it around their homestead or their garden or what have you, and making little oasis or little way stations for the monarch along the way. And we're hoping over a couple of years we will get hundreds of people on board and be able to, just grow milkweed and really help the population do a little thing that will add up in a big way. So if you could check out that video on our channel, we've got a lot of people already on board, and I'm passionate about it. Everybody loves seeing the monarch butterfly, and if you can throw some milkweed in. I know some people are close to farmers, and maybe the farmers don't want milkweed, but maybe you could find another place to put some. But check it out, and if you don't have access to seeds, let me know. I do, and love to share them.
Gwen is saying that she's having trouble finding them, and you want to make sure you find native milkweed.
Yep.
Yep. Hey, Robert Nelson, no worries at all. Hey there, Hedgehog's Homestead. Laura, hope you're doing well. Thank you, Lisa Kolovi. Our treasured home. Hello. Let's see here.
Yeah, if you could just check out the video and then comment if you're gonna plant milkweed. I see Farm Fresh. I don't know if you commented on the video. I'm trying to kind of keep track of who's all involved and then where they located. Trying to eventually put together a map of kind of what we've done. So I think that would really be telling. That really is a coast to coast, top to bottom effort, and it's funny to see everybody who has jumped on board. So.
Absolutely. Hey there, Bev Bach, and I apologize. I missed you there, my friend. Hello, G Mama Grows. I just want to make sure I got everybody. Our treasured home. Hello. G Mama planted milkweed.
Yep.
Thank you, Annette. Just going real quick. Oh, thanks, Bev. And Rich, I apologize that I was looking to Ryan. He was asking me a question. So I was trying to mute it. Let's see here.
I was just babbling, so you didn't miss anything.
I knew what you were going to say, so that helped. Last, I just wanted to let you guys know, and Rich, I'm going to let you do a plug as well. We've been updating our merchandise. I had the plain logo because it was frankly all I could handle at the time that I did it. I've got somebody helping me, but I'm actually proud of myself because I stretched my skills to create a special project for the Vineyard Chicks because they had sent us some wonderful, wonderful gifts. And they love Norman so much, and they really wanted one of the piglets. But they were way far away and it didn't work out. And I totally get that. But the poor girls, they keep apologizing. So I did Norman sweatshirts for them, which was really challenging because you have to take a picture of Norman for me, challenging for me. You have to take a picture of Norman and I have to blow it up so much to get it to detail. And then the resolution isn't good. And I was trying to make it a cartoon. So I did the best I could for the sweatshirts for them and they love them. But yeah, we sent that to them. And so I've been updating merchandise on the store. Some of the listings aren't great right now because in the middle of it last night, Teespring decided to said that I did too many things last night in a row, apparently, and they logged me out. So just bear with me if you have any questions and you go there, check it out. But I will have a pretty steep discount code coming up soon for it. And Rich, you want to talk about yours?
I put out a short video. We're just trying to get some feedback as well as if anybody wants a fun chicken shirt. We've got a new store out on Etsy. Just if you put in Old Swede's Farm, one word, or look at the video on our channel and there's a link down in the description. We got some fun chicken shirts and our our logo shirt. Just all the proceeds go out in the garden. So having a little fun with it. Holly's been great. I throw out all these stupid ideas, and then she starts and pulls them together, and they turn out pretty darn good looking, I think. But
yeah, they're awesome.
She's been it's a creative outlet for her. So
there's a question for you, but I want to go to the chat real quick. Hey, Joy, bless life. I hope you're having a good dinner. Let's see here. Hey, Carpenter Self-Reliance. I hope I didn't miss anybody. I hate when I miss folks. Thank you, Lisa Colovi. You can ask Alicia. I'm sure that they're the latter. I can tell you that right now, because I don't have the capacity to have them made here right now. I don't want to have inventory on hand right now, because that means I'm going to have a lot of money invested in it, and unfortunately, I cannot do that right now. Holly made some great shirts.
Our stuff, I believe, is made in the U.S. just because it's printed on demand. So we got a shirt in like 3 days. So
awesome.
Unless it can get from China to here in 3 days, then God bless them. But it's all print on demand. I didn't want to have inventory either. So
yeah, absolutely. Hey, Susie Jacobson, thank you. And almost to your question, Red. Hang on one second. Hey, Life with Belinda and Chuck. Hi, Blue. We talked about you earlier. I don't know if you were here at the time. I was promoting your live stream and your collaboration for tomorrow. So Robert Nelson has a question for the Chicken Guru. Go ahead, Red. Tell me, lay it on us, and we will help you out the best we can. Hey, Green Granny too. Denise Bissell. Hope you're doing well. And then we'll get into
the one good thing about these lives. You look at the list of people on the side here, and the knowledge base that's in this group is phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Tanny just checked me out of bed so he doesn't have to rush this morning. That's awesome. So, Red, we're waiting on your question, my friend. No pressure. I want to make sure we answer it before we get going on. I'm just going to look back and make sure I didn't miss anybody. Thank you, Annette, for pointing that out. I appreciate that. We lost a chicken this week while we were waiting on Red. The one that was attacked by the other chickens that was in the I call it the rehab suite. She was doing fine. She was up on the roost and everything, and then boom. Okay. I have a chicken whose chest is puffed out, and I massage its crop and fluid comes out. Does it smell sour?
That's what I was wondering. If it's got an impacted crop or it's got something in there that is fermenting. And honestly, I had heard once you can turn the chicken upside down and literally rub it and the stuff will come out. I had to do that once. I had something very similar. It smelled bad. And I didn't know any better. I turned it upside down and all the stuff came out, and it's been fine. So I don't know, Lisa, if you've dealt with it before.
Nope. We suspect a meat bird had it. I know that you have to stop giving food with situations like that because you want the crop to empty out and give them liquid. But yeah, I would say it's sour crop. If you have that smell, that odor to it, usually it's sour. Hey, Grace and Fire. Grace and Fire had that recently about sour crop.
There you go. Yeah, mud and grass.
Yeah.
You know what? There are girls. I'll just speak for our girls. Now that spring has hit, and for the past week they've been outside, they are eating everything. And you can see their droppings have moved from, the color of the food that they eat all winter to some of them are black. They're eating a lot of stuff in the dirt and worms and such. And so I do really watch them now, because there's a lot of kind of stuff that's been molding around during the winter that they're probably ingesting. So usually they'll get a loose stool instead of impacted like that, or a sour crop. But it sounds like you did the right thing. You got a lot of that out. I would just keep checking on that one bird. If you've got similar ones that are so similar to it, maybe band it just to make sure that you can really identify that chicken. But just watch it.
Yeah, and I would withhold food on that chicken and just give water. And you can Google online about sauerkraut. A lot of people, which is an underused resource, is the Merck Veterinary Manual. There's a Merck Veterinary Manual online that you can get a digital copy of and look it up. I mean, you have access to it for free. And that is one thing that I have gone to for the pigs on numerous occasions. Grace and Fire said just water. So, that's the thing. And so looking up those things, you can probably search in the Merck manual, and Red is Robert Nelson. So just so you know. So Red, if you want me to look it up in the Merck manual, if that makes it easier for you, I'm happy to send that to you. Yeah, it's an MERCK manual.
Merck, like the pharmaceutical company?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But it's just great because I was taught that early on by my mentors to use that as a resource, and that's been very beneficial. Now, I haven't used it, I have to say, about chickens, but I have used it. The other thing is backyardchickens.com is an amazing resource. I have put on there that I had a problem with a chicken before I knew you guys. And I got an answer within 15 minutes. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
For a vlog. So, okay, I can do that, Red. I'll have to do it after the live. Holman's Homestead said, I will watch that video, Rich. You can count us in.
Yep.
And Veronica at Shock Can Ranch said, we actually got our chicks in the mail. Super excited. Congrats.
And Red, just keep us posted. If you got other questions or you want to bounce something, I don't have all the answers. I've experienced a lot of stuff, but if you want to bounce it off someone, feel free to drop me a note.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I know we've dealt with bumblefoot a bunch of times, and I'm convinced that's the pine needles and stuff. I will say this. I was telling Rich tonight that Dwight, our rooster, has torn his spurs off on a couple of occasions. And right before this, I was waiting for him to stop bleeding because all of my girls, as you can imagine, with all the breeding going on, have a scarlet letter on one side of them because he did it again. And so I was telling Rich that he was perfect setup. He was standing on the roost, standing, not sitting, with his back towards me. So there I was with the blue coat. So the roosts are all purple.
Rooster graffiti.
Yeah, I felt like I was graffitiing, and the girls on either side of him were like, ew. I have a leghorn right now who has a purple butt from it. Because I also use blue coat if, like, she had a very poopy bottom and it had to be cut. And because she was not too thrilled about being soaked. And so I cut it, and it's just really funny because I use that to cover up the bare skin back there. And it's just funny. She's walking around with her little purple butt. Let's see here. You have a frequent visitor. She's a chunky girl. Yeah. So, all right. So yeah, we got into all that stuff. Rich, did you get everything that you wanted to talk about out before we go on?
Yep, absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, thanks guys for listening to my housekeeping stuff. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So Rich and I were going to talk about gearing up for the busy season. So Rich, why don't you tell us a little bit of what you're doing right now to get ready? Because are you in 4B or 5B?
I'm zone 4B. And so aren't you the same?
Yep.
Okay. And everything's happening right now for us. I look, and that's the fun of all these great homestead channels that are on YouTube. I was just barely getting seeds going about a month ago, and Barb's already down there canning and harvesting, and Gwen's got stuff and she's pulling things in, and it's unreal. But so we're starting now with we've been doing seeds for a while, but I'm gearing up for 40 chicks to show up within a month. We're getting our garden ready. We're planning for an orchard. I've got a native area. I'd like to plan for next year for possibly some pigs and turkeys. But I don't know. The main thing that came out, Lisa, when you started talking about this was, in my head, it's always the word plan. And I don't do anything without planning, and Holly hates it because I run through scenarios in my head about a million ways and try to think of everything that could go wrong and how do I build it, or what's needed and what's wrong with that plan. And then I'm writing it down, and I've got my garden journal out, and I'm looking through notes from last year and the year before, and it's just all plan. So that's what I'm doing right now, because we got that week of warm weather, but we're still not quite there yet. So we're in plan mode.
Yeah, and Ryan is like that also. I like to fly by the seat of my pants. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like when a winter storm comes, like it's not that I do everything like that. It's not. I watch the weather. I watch for when it's going to be extremely hot. I watch when we're going to have hail. I watch for when we're going to have really brutally winter stuff, and I prepare. I do all that. It's not that I don't prepare or plan at all. In fact, it's the opposite. But as I told you, one of the things we're doing this year is trying to back off the hardcore plans. And that's because we have been, if you think about it, 2020, when we started this, we were both working full time. And we were nonstop all week long working, nonstop at night all week long, nonstop on the weekends. And so at this point, we are deciding to take a year where we do what we need to do, but we relax. So, we could be out there. In fact, I have one of my notes down is all the outdoor projects, right? I have outdoor projects that I want to do. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh, Leanne. Yeah, definitely. Take care of the cows. Be safe, my friend. I'll talk to you later. Okay. Sorry, I saw, oh no, be safe. I got worried because I saw it was Leanne. So the outdoor projects, could we be out there working in the weather? Yep. Do we want to? No. We've had enough of the cold. And right now, the past 3 days, we have been super windy and blustery. It's like a Winnie the Pooh type of day. Yep. And cold. And we're going to be down in the teens tonight and tomorrow night, which is normal for us this time of year. But I can tell you right now, I have that hemp bedding in the brooder for the chickens. Now that stuff works amazing. I love it. I know it's expensive, and I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying it really works well. They're 6.5 weeks old. No bedding is going to keep them from stinking at this point. Yep. And so I need them to go outside. So it's like all those things, but I can't get them outside yet, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I mean, because there's 12 of them in a brooder.
Yeah, that's all the planning, and we move our chicks in phases. They're going to be in my office right behind me when they come in mid-May, and they'll probably be here for about 2 weeks or so. We're getting them later in the year than we have previously, right? We would have them right now, but they're so stacked up at the hatchery. We're getting them a month late. So they'll be here probably 2 weeks. It'll be warm enough outside. Then they're going to go into the indoor coop inside the barn, and they'll stay there for another few weeks. Then I'll put a fence outside and they can run in and out while the big girls also run in and out parallel to them. Then when they're old enough and big enough, they'll go to the little girls coop outside. Then they move back into the barn. So it's all these series of moves, and you got to kind of time it all out. And I use the little girl coop to harden off all our garden materials too. So because it's the only big cage I've got to keep the chickens from getting in.
Yeah.
So while the little girls go out to the big girl barn, my crops go out into the little girl coop and harden off there as protection. So lots of little moves, but yeah, I get it that it's cold out there right now.
Yeah, and so I like to raise them in the back room of the garage. Quite honestly, I don't know if you guys remember, but when we brought those home, it was a sub-zero day. We brought them home. And so we also had a lot of ice. And for me to walk down, I know I sound like I'm 80 years old, but walking down to the garage was concerning, is the reality. Because it just was so ridiculously icy. And I just said, you know what? There are laying hens. If it's meat birds, no question. But the laying hens, I like to call them, which I'm pretty behind on. But I just think it's a lot better to have them in the house because there's a lot more interaction. They're a lot less flightier. Whereas the meat birds, they can be flighty. So, and when we do the turkeys, we do that too. So I think it was a good setup. It's just that had we not taken the nosedive again into the teens, they would have been outside. The coop is ready for them.
Yeah.
But I'm at the point where I can't stand the stench. 79 years in holding for me this week at Yogi Yellow Farm and Net. Hey, Wicked Awesome Gardening. You have to be careful getting out of the bathtub. Yeah, I mean, I've become very cognizant of, and you guys know this, I've become very aware of from when I fell last year and also with my back a couple weeks ago. And it's just, I try to be very mindful of that because if I get hurt, it falls on Ryan and he has enough to do. So I think it's important to be careful. So anyway, so it's kind of cold outside for the project. So we're not really busting our butts to get out there because quite honestly, Ryan and I have had enough of the cold this year. And that's mainly because we had a lot of cold periods that were colder than usual. But we have about 17 or 18 eggs in. Thank you, Lisa Colovi. 17 or 18 eggs in the incubator for turkeys. And that will determine the turkey's fate if they will stay or not, because I'm not sure Custer is completing the mission. He stands on their backs a lot, but I don't know that he's finished the task. So we will not overwinter them if we can't hatch anything this year. Probably. Everything's always changing.
Can you start those inside as well?
Yeah, they are. I'm sorry. Spartman just said, cold this winter? Surely you jest. Spartman has snow right now in South Dakota. Yep, we have them in the incubator. Last year, we already had them by April. So turkeys are not like chickens. They don't lay all year long. They lay during like mating seasons. Mm-hmm. And so like I think Monica at Bland's Promised Land Ranch can get like longer periods of turkey eggs than I can. And so they're in the incubator, but they're only in there about 4 or 5 days. I have not checked Gwen yet. I prefer to check when they're about halfway through. What I'm doing right now is I prefer to load the incubator and have them all hatch at once. I only have 2 turkey hens. So here's the problem. I'm adding them in with different dates and symbols on them. So because I didn't have a full incubator, I am convinced I only have 1 laying right now. So it's kind of a weird hatch, but I'm going to give it a shot and we're going to see how it goes. But I'll wait until halfway through when it's really obvious to candle them. I just find that easier for me. And then that way, if I get down to it and we're at the first lockdown and they are not ready for lockdown, I'll get rid of the eggs that are not fertilized. But I just didn't want to risk cracking one open to look because it seemed like a waste to me when I'm getting like 1 a day or every other day. So I talked to a bunch of people and I just keep stuffing them in there. No, I didn't crack one open. And then, like I said, the reason I didn't crack it is I didn't want to waste any. I figured I'd check it out. I also don't stand out there and watch Custer to see if he completes things. But we may try a different turkey next year. I have to tell you a funny story about our turkeys. So we sent some turkeys down to Texas to Halbert Farm, and they have them now. And they were at the Dallas-Fort Worth stock show for a month. And so yesterday, Josh was doing a farm tour, and I don't want to go too into it because he'll get embarrassed, but Josh was doing a farm tour, and every time he turned around, there was a hen behind him. And he locked the turkey out of where they were going, and the turkey went nuts. She was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it's just like she has to be near him. It is so funny. 24 eggs to incubate. That's exciting.
Good for you.
Danny said, I'm hoping to get settled into the new house in time to try raising up a couple turkeys this year. Yes. So our first batch of turkeys we bought with our meat birds, and I had no idea that they should not be raised with chickens. And I raised them with the meat birds because they were all going to be meat. We lost one because the Cornish cross smothered it at the feeder. So we ended up with 4, and we ended up with 2 toms and 2 hens. No problem, Danny. They were healthy as can be. Those buggers grew, no problem at all. And when people talked about turkeys, I said, what do you mean they try to die? I don't get it. They're perfectly fine. Then we started hatching them. They have to get past that first 2 weeks. In that first 2 weeks, they could be fine one day and deceased the next. And they are rough. We had one with neurological issues last year. And these are purebred. Like all the bloodline things you follow, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like there's no one related. That's why they're in their own area. And yeah. So then we called Julius last year because he was fighting all the time with them. And the coop is nice and peaceful, but Custer's a little confused. But yeah, they are very fragile the first 2 weeks.
The one thing she was saying, hope to get in the house and get a couple turkeys this year. And
yep.
One thing I can say is, the first year we tried to bite off a little more than we could chew. We want to do a garden, we want to do chickens, we want to do this, and this. And you know what? That first year, sometimes you can do what you can do and then take some stock of your time and think about next year and really put a plan together so you're not hustling through it and then everything kind of falls apart. And maybe you got plenty of time and all that. I'm just throwing that out as I see that you're, a new homeowner and all that. Just you got plenty to do with infrastructure of your own life, not alone the other lives and all that. So just a thought.
Yeah. I mean, so here for our first year, we had a dozen laying chicks. We had to clean out very disgusting buildings, gut them, and redo them the way we wanted to. We built the chicken run We moved a building, which is where the turkeys are now. We did a garden. We did meat birds. We did a run on the turkey coop. We got Sherman in March, so that was in 1 year. So Sherman had Sherman had electric net fencing, all while working full time and doing this full time. Yep. Then we did Eleanor and Fiona in May. Mind you, that was our 1 year May. We had to build a house for them. We then built a huge pig barn, which is where the girls are. We built 3 pastures. We moved Sherman's. I'm not even getting it all. But yeah, Danny, and you're also doing a house. We are not doing a house. And so just got home.
Yeah,
that would have been funny.
Danny, we threw everything on sticky notes on the refrigerator, and then some of them involved money, and so we tried to guesstimate the dollar amount for each one. But then we did figure out, that we had limited time. We did want to take on the world. We were finally out at a farm, but then we moved the sticky notes, must-haves and want to have, and we made sure that we got all the must-haves done. The want-to-haves, then we started breaking those into, can we do it year 2, year 3, and then started writing, in the journal what the steps were to get to those goals. You can only do so much. I don't know. I can only do so much, I should say.
Congratulations, Dropped Family Garden. That's exciting. Veronica, it is Barb's Country Home. Does anybody know about guineas here? Robert Nelson is asking about guineas. I do not have them, and I don't plan to.
All I've heard from everybody who's got guineas is that they're loud.
Loud and up in the trees.
Yeah, there you go. Or the roof of the barn or whatever. Yep. Yep, they're loud. That's all I've heard.
I'm just looking at Bro Cowgirl wants a bedroom in the barn, and it's really funny. I have a friend about 90 minutes north of me who raises Berkshire pigs, and he made a makeshift bedroom in the barn for farrowing. So that's pretty funny.
Gwen, if we had cute goats like you've got, I'd sleep out in the barn too. Holy smokes.
I know, they're super cute.
I still go back and watch that one video of Gwen's they're just walking around and playing and making and the one that makes all the noise when Gwen gets within about 50 feet of the barn. And
yep.
Well worth the time. If you're having a bad day, there's the video to watch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's see. I said the turkey in the incubator. We've got 50 meat chickens coming in July. We decided to stick with that because that'll put us later on the schedule than usual. But we decided that would work. Thank you, Veronica, so much. We got the layer chicks hopefully getting out Sunday. And I've got the black copper Morans coming with the meat birds, so we'll raise them at the same time. Although I'll probably bring them in the house so they don't get eaten by them. I call them Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, you got a good list. Even though you're taking the summer off, you've got a good list.
Well, we got to eat.
Yeah.
That's the thing. This is go time, right?
Yep. Definitely.
Meat turkeys, we decided that we were not going to just understand, guys, whatever I say is subject to change because it changes day to day here. But one of the things we decided we were not going to raise meat turkeys this year. But of course, if we don't sell the poults, we will end up raising meat turkeys. And then we've got piglets in June. And then I've got garden, but I want you to talk about your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we've got plenty of projects going. We want to get the orchard in this year, and winter put us back. We had so much snow that I couldn't get out with a chainsaw. When there's 4 feet of snow out in the woods, I'm trying to cut a big enough perimeter just to clear for where the trees are. And it's a pretty good area. We're going to put in 6 good sized trees, apple and pear, and maybe even a cherry tree. So we're clearing quite an area. We're finally getting the trees down. And then once that happens, there was the farmer before us put a lot of dumped a lot of stuff back there. So it's like an archaeology dig. So Holly and I spend some, spring evenings out. It's nice out. We go and get the kneeling pad and go, and we kind of just start digging a little bit here and there. Holly's convinced that there's a car somewhere in the dug in there. And so the other night we found all sorts of car parts and glass, and we found 3 hubcaps. So I'm more and more convinced that she's right. But we're out doing, soil prep and leveling and getting rid of the trees and all that behind the scenes stuff before you actually dig a hole and put a root ball and an apple tree in there. So all that, the garden stuff, just getting our garden ready. It looks like everything we did last year survived well, but we're going to put in more garden fabric down at the other end. So we got to wait. It's like we're just waiting. We've had the wind that you've had, Lisa, and so it's waiting for a day when it's not windy, because you get a 40-foot by 3-foot piece of fabric out there while you're pinning it down. It's flapping all over. So got to wait for the right day to get that. We're trying to get some more the cattle troughs, so we can use that to also weight them down other than the staples, and use those for raised beds. So it's just all these little pieces. The fabric's here, get the troughs ready, wait for a calm day, cut the stuff, staple it in with the garden staples, get the tubs in place. Then you can burn the holes and then plant. So it's, it's like not a ticking time bomb, but we know somewhere around Memorial Day, we're going to plant. So we're a little over a month from planting, and we got to get all this other stuff done. So trying to just have my list, and I've got a list for every project, and then kind of ticking off the list as we go. So that's the big one, and I want to build a big compost pile. I'm watching the seedlings downstairs. When it's nice out, I'm moving them outside to get them hardened off. There's still more supplies and tools I need. It's a never ending, and we're trying different things this year. I'm going to do a video, and we're trying to go vertical. I don't want to keep adding garden outward. I want to use the space I've got, and what can I do to go vertical? The pigs will uproot any old cars. There you go. Gwen, that's my concern, though. There's so much glass and rusty cans and such that I fear that we would have nothing but bloody snouts and a constant problem. So we did want to have pigs, and we might have pigs if we had a nice piece of virgin property. But with all the garbage, we've moved the pigs back, so we can clean it out. Lisa, maybe you've got the same thing or had the same thing, but ours is just a mess of stuff.
We had a mess of juniper bushes and little trees and stuff like that. And the area that Eleanor and Fiona are in is where Maggie and Winston were. And they were both 300 pounds when they left here. And so that was January of 2021 to August of 2021. We got them when they were weaned, and they were true feeder pigs. And FYI, can't find any. We've been looking for months because I screwed up the pork plan, and my pork is now a pet. So we are still looking. But we wanted to do feeder pigs because we said, well, that'll make sense, because by the time we get the litters this year, they're going to take a year to 18 months. So we'll see. But anyway, Maggie and Winston were in that area, and I wish I got to see if I can find some old photos for you, Rich, because I didn't know you at the time. But that area was all grassy. pretty level. It was on an angle, but it was pretty level, like not lumpy and holy. Maggie and Winston removed boulders. I mean, I could not believe what they removed out of that. They undermined the whole area that we built for them. Because originally,
did you have stuff under there though, where they're cutting themselves?
I didn't see that at all. But I will tell you, I was walking down to feed the pigs the other day, and in the old area where Maggie and Winston's first pen was, I walk through that area every day, and it's not a pen anymore. I saw a railroad spike, a full-size railroad spike laying there. I walk through there 2 or 3 or 4 times a day.
Yep. And
I'm like, I don't know where that came from, but all of a sudden it was there. So they unearthed it.
Every winter, new stuff gets kind of brought up with the frost heave and this and that. There's a whole new crop of stuff, and that's why we're out in the spring. Someone was asking if a metal detector would work. I have a metal detector here from a friend of mine, and you get it out there and you turn it on, and it's just a constant buzz. So there's no different. There's so much stuff out in certain areas that it's just better to get down on your hands and knees with a trowel and just start digging. And we use the feed bags from the chickens, and just all the metal and glass goes in there. It's an archaeology dig.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Drops Family Farm. I typed in the chat earlier, congratulations, but that's exciting that you're moving. But yes, there's a reason they put cement slabs in pig pens in the South. I'm trying to talk Ryan into putting a cement slab for under our stock tank. So it stays level in the wintertime, and I don't have to worry about the mud freezing around it, because I empty that out every day or every other day in the winter. So
would that start heaving though itself, that slab?
It may.
Yeah, we need
Ryan,
stuff if we don't want it to go. It might go down. We need to go down 4 feet with concrete to keep it from heaving.
Well, and that was the thing. I was talking to Ryan about cinder block garden, like a raised bed garden. And then Ryan looked at me and he said, they must be in the South. And I said, why? And he said, well, did they cement it together? And I said, no. He goes, well, that's not going to fly here. It's going to tumble over. And he's right. I just didn't think about it.
Yep.
Better do it soon. You got 3 months to do it in Wyoming.
Someone was asking about horse manure. You know, I don't know the official answer on that. Horse manure, I would say a season if you're turning it over and you can really get it hot. There's a lot of grass seeds and weed seeds. Our one neighbor has 3 horses, and she had a huge pile of manure, and she had composted it all the previous year, so it had gone 12 months. I don't think it was turned. She went and spread it all over my garden the first year that we were here, and we said, oh yeah, we need manure. All she did was spread weed seeds and everything all throughout the garden. It was a disaster. It hadn't. So make sure that compost is good and hot and you're turning it, or you could be just adding weed seeds wherever you throw it.
All right, so I've got the answer to this one. I don't have the answer, but I was talking to Gwen at Broke Cowgirl about this. Hey, Charles Bushcrafty, hope you're doing well, my friend. Tell us the answer. So I was telling Gwen that last week we were going to get 3 to 4 year old horse manure for the garden. And she was telling me to be very careful because there could be, and Gwen, help me out here. What's in it? Herbicide?
Yep. Chemicals.
So it's the same as the cow manure that we've often talked about. It could, and make sure the hay fed to the horses doesn't have herbicides sprayed on the field. So Gwen was telling me different ways, the way you can grow something in it to see if it's worth it. We ended up not getting it. So Gwen, thank you. We ended up not going to get it because the lady wasn't home all day. And I just said, well, we will probably go back. But that's the concern also with cow manure.
Our neighbor doesn't have she doesn't spray any chemicals. So we had thought of that, but yeah, Gwen brings up that's a great point.
Yeah, and that stays in there for a while, you know.
Yep.
We went to look at a previous goat farm 5 acres from here in the Smokies, barn, modular house. Had a contract the next day. Other homes going as fast. Yes, Joy, one's going to come for you. We were in a similar market in Asheville, and believe it or not, the way that we got our house outside of Asheville was we got a call to go look at the house on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And on Thanksgiving Day, we were signing paperwork.
Wow.
Because these competitive markets. So you will find something. I have not looked into straw bale feeding or straw bale gardening. Have you?
You know what, we were trying to do, what's the Ruth, was it Ruth Stout, where you're, we tried that with potatoes because our ground was so hard. This is 2 years ago, and I won't do the straw bales because I figure it'd be the same thing. All we did, we put straw down, then more straw, and the potatoes grew, and then the potatoes were half eaten at the end because all we did was created a great place for the mice to live. So my ground is getting better, so I'm gonna avoid the bales. I feel like I'm just gonna give the mice a place to live.
Yeah, if I'm buying hay, or straw, it's going to my animals.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at. Good night, Wicked Awesome Gardening. One of the plans that we have, and again, like I said, subject to change because I have big plans and then Ryan doesn't agree with me or he has a different plan. One of them is we bought a large round stock tank. I was going to make it into a pool for the few times a year we might use one. We also talked about collecting water in it. Just because it was a good price. We got it somewhere where someone bought it new and used it as a pool and then never used it. So it was basically brand new. We may put that in the back area of the coop where we have globe thistle growing, which will kill a large portion of it because it'll be underneath it. But we're thinking of making it like a, what do you call them? Holman's Homestead did it. Where you have a drain in the bottom, but you can also put something in the side to water it, like a wicking tub, like a huge wicking tub. Or we may just do it so it drains. But the point is we have that, and we talked about, and I was talking to Rich about it, putting like the chicken coop clean out in the bottom, and then putting some other stuff and all that, because it makes sense, because then with the deer problem that we have, we can put stakes in it and fence it around, but also have easy access to it.
How deep is it?
How deep are stock tanks? 2 feet?
Okay. Yep. Boy, that'd be great. Great raised bed. Huge raised bed.
Yep. So I was thinking of like
the potatoes and root crops you could put in there. Wow.
Yeah.
I love mine.
That's what we're thinking. I mean, it's funny because, if you guys saw our latest video, there's hold on, figure out how to do this. It's behind me. You can see the cart. It's the blueberry, raspberry, blackberry cart is inside because it's been so cold the past 2 days. But we're just trying to look at different ways that we can do things.
Yeah, that'd be, if you're going to drill holes in the bottom for drainage, well, you kind of need to if you've got something like that, or it's going to slowly fill up. Put some rock over it, then you could put all sorts of manure. You could put 6-8 inches of manure, and then some topsoil, and go to town on the potatoes. Boy, mine love the loose soil.
Yeah, and Drops was saying pool liners are cheap. I think Ryan was going to do a drainage system on it. Because it has a spigot on it to drain it because it was a pool.
Okay.
Hey, Mountain Grandma. Hope you're doing well. Everybody send prayers to Mountain Grandma, please. She's had a rough week. Let's just leave it at that. You can look at her community page later. Good. I'm glad you're making cookies. You need that. Something fun to do. I hope you're doing it for the babies. Yeah, so we're thinking of that. We're also thinking we need to do another greenhouse. But like I said, we're not gonna push ourselves like nobody's business this year. We're not doing that.
And that's part of the, you know what, we often, you look at all the homestead channels I should say, the homestead channels I watch, everybody's constantly working and taking on projects and doing things, and they're go, go, go. And then part of the time, you know what, you got to enjoy where you're at too. So I think your idea of taking a summer off is, one, it's well deserved, but two, take your blood pressure down a little bit, kick your feet back, have a glass of wine and stare at the sunset with Norman out running around by your feet or something. So
With Norman.
well,
I love that pig.
let the girls run around, let the hens run around. I don't know. We have a little happy hour every now and then, and it is the best part of being out here. It is so quiet. It is watch the sunset that goes on forever, and just, the two of us, just take your blood pressure down to nothing and relax.
Yeah, absolutely. The other day I went out and I got Norman because it was warm enough, and it was just really nice because, there was no snow. I didn't have to worry about his well-being, and I just took him out. And it's funny because he remembered that that I take him for walks because it had been a little bit. And he remembered because when I went out there and when he went back, he started squealing. He wanted to come back out again. And that's what he does when I take him for walks. It's so funny.
Perfect.
I see that we are just over an hour, and I want to be respectful of Rich's time. So I wonder, do you guys have any questions for Rich or anything like that? And Rich, I just wanted to check with you while we're waiting for everybody to respond. Is there anything else that you wanted to share about things you have going on?
No, just, kind of tying on that milkweed for monarchs. I'm putting in about a 20 by 40 foot native garden. I've talked about it for a while. I used to have like a 30 foot by 200 foot native garden, just all native plants to Minnesota, grasses, milkweed's a part of it, but I've got like 16 or 18 varieties of native plants here. And I'm just going to work that into a big native area and let the butterflies and bugs and stuff happen. I've got pheasants running around, so all the tall grass is a good place for them to hide, and hopefully it'll just be a good spot. So that's another one. I'm just prepping the soil and getting ready. I've got, I don't know what, nine or so flats of the plants already seeded in there. So that'll be fun. Just I love having the native plants out there.
That's awesome. I am waiting for my after my hot mess of a berry video, which I was pretty done with my whole berry situation. I'm probably going to look for another blueberry. I know that they won't sell black. It's very hard to find blackberries in 4B here. When I found those blackberries at Wally World, I Googled the variety and they did have them, but a lot of places do not recommend blackberries for 4B unless you get a certain variety. So anytime I've gone to order them, they're either sold out or they didn't have the correct variety. So what I'm going to do is I'm hoping to get another blueberry to go with it because I would love that. Yes, we have a Wally World.
If you don't get the right blackberry, let me know. We have some native blackberries here that obviously work in 4B, and they're spotted throughout the woods here, and I'll get you some bare root stock and mail them to you. We're going to try to relocate some, and part of our orchard is also going to be strawberries, adding to the blueberries, raspberry. It's all the fruit, and trying to get that fenced in to keep the chickens from harvesting the fruit before we do. But I do have native blackberries that, let me know. I can set you up.
Awesome. I really love that. Thank you so much.
Yep.
I just want to I'm going back through the chat here. Robert Nelson just recently retired. Drops is going to be retiring. Let's see here. I'm just going through. Be mindful of chiggers and ticks. Oh, do the chickens bother the native stuff, Rich? Is what Gwen wants to know.
You know what? I suspect, like any plant, they're going to want to get in there and eat them. I am going to, especially the first couple years, I'm going to fence that off just to be sure. So I don't know. I just want to. I need to protect them just while they get going, or the girls will just dig them up. Once it gets going, it's a big enough area, 40 by 20. If they want to get in there and eat some of the seed from the native grasses, that's fine. They'll probably drop fertilizer in there and mix it all up. They're no different than the pheasants walking through there, probably doing the same thing. And I do have a funny story. We do have a male pheasant that walks the perimeter of my woods and is calling for a mate. And every now and then I'll look out my office window and some of the chickens will be moving through the woods and the male pheasant comes and they kind of stare at each other. They keep about 20 feet and then they go on their way. It's just a quick little stare down and it's
Good
fun.
night, Kelly at Mickelson Family Homestead. And yes, Drops, I did do that. I did a whole video on how I prepared the soil. It was acidic and everything like that. So yeah, it was pretty good. Everything here on our property has to be fenced off. And it's not just the chickens. We have, in the spring, we have birds that like to nest on top of our garage light. The deer will eat everything that isn't tied down. And so I use that orange construction fencing temporarily. I know it looks terrible, but I don't care. It keeps them out of there and some metal T-posts. And then when we're done getting berries, I open it back up and they can eat the plant down to the ground for all I care. But yes,
next year.
And we're doing containers. So I have containers and they'll be in separate places. Right now they're in the same place because if you haven't seen the video, I have to move them in and out on a cart because we are extremely cold today. And then at night we will be in the 20s. So I don't want bushes to get lost.
Yeah.
Hey, Freedom Redbird. Thanks for coming, Brenda.
There were some people asking questions and you know what? Like I said earlier, I definitely do not have all the answers, but if people have questions or want to bounce things off, I'm always around. I know a lot of people here are around, but if you got questions about gardens or whatever, and you need something to bounce off, oldswedesfarm@gmail.com. Drop me a note and we can figure out how to talk on the phone or email back and forth and maybe resolve the problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm always open to things, but gardening, you probably don't want to ask me because I don't have a clue. So
you never know. Everybody's been through enough. We've destroyed enough things that we've learned over time. So
yeah, I talk to a lot of folks on this side about a lot of different things. People reach out to me on Instagram. But yeah, it's funny. I've got my my seedlings behind me and I've been super impressed with how well they're doing. They're not all of them. They're just the ones that I needed to start early, like the tomatoes and the peppers. I did want to tell Holman's Homestead that I did start habanero and chilies, which is not something I usually do because look, we just got bell peppers for the first time last year. So limited space, but I did grow them and some of them didn't come up in the soil. So I did put some in baggies and I probably put way too many. So I think my neighbor and his greenhouse are going to be getting a lot of hot pepper plants. So, but I'm going to see how that system works, but nothing. The winter sowing jugs have like a couple green plants in them. That's it.
Yeah, I'll echo Annette's comment. Lisa, you do have a clue. You live in the weirdest 4B I've ever heard about. So
it's the elevation. It's
Yep.
the elevation.
So it's not that you got a black thumb. It's elevation, maybe frostbite that's made it black. So
well, Ryan's the gardener, not me. I just do it. But I do have heat drops. I have a heat mat on all my plants. Even the broccoli gets heat mats, believe it or not, just because
Wow.
because it's all on the same table. I don't, you know what I mean? And I have one large heat mat. So
I've never used those. I just have a healthy fear of them, I guess.
of the heat mats,
Yeah, I just don't want them to dry it out, or I heat them, I guess, by putting them by the window.
I don't have enough sunlight. And so my house is like, if it's really like when really cold, when we have those awful brutal temperatures, my house could be 60 degrees.
Okay.
It's hard to get sourdough to run because
Yeah.
even though our stove is rated for like a 2,500 square foot house and our house is about 700 feet less than that, it still can't keep up. It just can't keep up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
We've got a good window. Once they sprout, then I take them down under the real lights so that they're not just getting this weak sunlight coming through the window. So I just have never used them. I just scares the heck out of me.
Hey, if it's working for you, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've got my process. It might not be the process, but it's mine. So it works.
Exactly.
And that's what everybody just needs to come up with is what's their process that works and run with it year after year. Something that's duplicative. Something they can duplicate.
Yeah, mine is an 18 by 20 greenhouse or something like that.
Oh, wouldn't that be great? I have a site that I think would work in the yard, and boy, would I love to have a greenhouse. Love nothing
The
more.
wind.
What was
The wind
that?
would be a challenge.
Oh, for sure. The wind is brutal. It's just this past, and it's mostly spring, but it's been 20 to 25 miles an hour sustained, it seems like, for a week.
That's crazy.
It is. And we went, and it was sunny today, and it's just windy the whole time, but it was sunny for 10 minutes, then it was snowing after that. It just was the weirdest. I'm done with winter. So
Yeah, I'm done too. Well, I don't see any other questions, so I guess we're going to call it a night, you guys. Well, Rich, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on.
that's fun. Great group.
Yeah, it's a wonderful group. So I just really wanted to thank you for coming on. I know you have a lot going on this season, but it was really great for you to come on and share what you have going on, getting ready.
Fun to have me on. Thank you. It's a pleasure. Everybody in the chat, it's such a fun group. I was telling Holly, it's like, I love these lives. It's like going to a party. All your friends show up and you can chit and chat and say hi to everybody, and it's a blast. So thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're always welcome. You know that. But thank you, everybody in the chat, for listening to my housekeeping stuff earlier. I just sometimes like to, I like to share things out, and people can decide what they want to do. There's never, ever any pressure for me, ever. But I just want to thank Lisa Colovi and all of you guys for stopping in. And I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend and stays busy. So good night, everybody. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.